Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Flash, and thank you for joining me for another Marvel Snap video. I know it's been a while. We took some time away doing some stuff, trying to hash some things out, but we're back. So what these series here and these videos are going to be going forward week to week, I'm going to be presenting you with new card content. So every week I will be reviewing, doing my best to give my impressions and review for the upcoming card for whatever that week may be. So before we get into all of that though, please, we are trying to hit the goals for the year. Like, subscribe, do all those fun things. I very much appreciate it. It goes a long way, and thank you in advance. So what's going to be a little bit different about my videos, I'm going to add a little bit of lore, a little bit of flavor to the character, give you some insight to who the character is and what they are. It's going to be brief. It's not going to be like 15-20 minutes long. That's going to be nothing crazy like that. A little bit of brief lore, then we'll get into what I think and my thoughts and impressions of how the card is going to perform. Well, I have timestamps and stuff, so if you want to skip over that, you don't care about the lore, you just want to know about the character and how strong the card is going to be, etc., you can skip right on to that. So that being said, let's roll into the first part of this. All right, so the upcoming card for this week is Frigga. Okay, she is a 3/3 with an on reveal. Add a copy of the last card you played to your hand if able. Now, as I said before we get into how strong that might be and where it might go and how I feel about it, let's provide a little bit of lore for the character. Now, get comfortable, right? The Asgardian Frigga, the goddess of marriage, was the wife of Odin, who raised her husband's son Thor, the god of thunder, though he was not her natural son. She bore 3 children with Odin: Balder, the god of light; Hermod, the god of speed; and Tyr, the god of war. Never mind that. An ancient Asgardian prophecy foretold Balder's death would initiate an apocalyptic event called Ragnarok. Now, some of you are familiar with some of this stuff already, right? Which would herald the death of all Asgardians. Knowing of this prophecy, Frigga cast spells to protect Balder, making him invulnerable to injury while in Asgard from anything except mistletoe. However, Odin feared that if Balder were known to be his son, it would make him a target and hasten Ragnarok. Consequently, Balder was brought up unaware of his royal lineage. Around 1000 AD, the multi-pantheon Council of the Godheads saw a threat to humanity from the cosmic celestials, who would one day decide if the human race was worthy of existence. While the male gods planned to wage war against the celestials, the earth goddess Gaia gathered Frigga and goddesses of other pantheons to locate humans across a span of 1,000 years and release the latent genetic potential within them. These superhumans, called the young gods, were intended to show the celestials the greatness humanity could achieve. The young gods were kept in suspended animation, watched over by Frigga and others. When the celestials finally returned to judge humanity, Frigga relinquished the young gods to Gaia and returned to Asgard. In turn, Gaia offered the young gods to the celestials, satisfying them of Earth's value. During a war against the fire demon Surtur, also out this week, Frigga fled from Asgard with the Asgardian children under her protection. She returned to Asgard with Surtur's defeat to find that Odin had fallen in battle. But they were later reunited when Thor rescued Odin from Enid, death god Seth. At one point, Odin attempted to thwart Ragnarok by casting the Asgardians into mortal forms with no memories of their true lives. While Odin became the drunken derelict wad, Frigga was cast as his wife Frida Barker. All of these lost gods were eventually restored to godhood with their memories. When Loki slew Balder with a mistletoe arrow, the prophecies of Ragnarok were fulfilled, leading to the realm's ultimate destruction and killing Frigga in the process. However, Thor survived and enabled those Asgardians who fell during Ragnarok to return to life. It is currently unrevealed whether Frigga's life has been restored as well. Now that's a bit of the backstory. Now, as far as her powers, right? Like other Asgardians, Frigga possesses immense superhuman abilities, including strength, being capable of lifting 25 tons, speed, endurance, being capable of performing at peak condition for at least 24 hours before tiring, reflexes, durability to impact, and extreme temperature. These abilities are accompanied with a regenerative healing factor at a rate of slashes and punctures, healing in a few hours, and broken bones setting and healing within a day. This power is limited, however, being incapable to regenerate missing limbs or organs without a magical aid. Frigga is also capable of changing her appearance, transforming matter and a numerous amount of different energies. Now, that being said, let's move right on to the next segment, being her as a card in Marvel Snap. Now, Frigga might, upon first glance, and especially after the developer video, might seem like a card that goes with the Hammer Bros and the Thors and the this and the that and the Janes. Sure. However, it seems like it does not want to be there inherently. Now, she could present, because you have to consider this. You play Thor on turn 3, you play Beta Ray Bill on turn 4. Unless you naturally draw the hammers. Now, riddle me this, okay? It's not necessarily, you have to, I would consider her use in that deck not looking for the hammers, right? You're not like, oh, I'm going to play the hammers and let them play again. No, you want to get another copy of a Thor or a Beta Ray Bill. So play Thor on 3, her on 4, Beta Ray on 4, you know, like namely Thor, right? Because Beta Ray Bill might be too late at that point, because you can't play Beta Ray Bill and then her on 3. What good is another Beta Ray Bill going to do you at that particular junction? Because you want to be playing Jane Foster on turn 5. So really, in that deck, she's really just targeting Thor specifically, which I guess lore-wise makes sense, right? You play Thor on 3, you can play her on 4, but then you don't get to play Beta Ray Bill. You see where this is going? Now, I think better case usage for Frigga is in other decks. Decks that want another copy of a card in the mid-game. Hell, stuff like Discard and Destroy might want another copy of, say, oh, I don't know, a Venom, or a Lady Sif, or Blade, and Lady Sif, canonically, lore-wise, also makes sense, right? You sure get another copy of Lady Sif, boom, let's get that out there. Another Discard and Apocalypse, etc. I think, and people have mentioned Silver Surfer as a place where she could go as well. Now, again, her pros stand in the fact that it is a very strong thing, as we've learned in Marvel Snap, to re-trigger cards or get another copy of a card, right? Nico Minoru has taught us that in spades. This is just the guaranteed Nico ability. That's all this is. So you get a copy of whatever that is, boom, again. Now, what we all believe to be true is that if she copies a card that has gained power, you will get said copy of card with buffed power, like a Sage, like a Venom. I believe that to be true, and if that is true, that is also very strong. Now, here's where her downsides roll in. Now, of course, you could also just put her in a Surfer deck, which is why Berserker Surfer, she costs 3. You know how that whole thing goes. Oh, the Surfer, dump it in a Surfer deck, it costs 3. Okay, now, cons, weaknesses. This card is clunky. It's clunky. It's a 3 cost, and it's going to fit in weird in a lot of places because of its cost. So many of those things that you want to be doing, whether it be mid-game or towards the late game, cost a lot. Is it really worthwhile to play? Turn 5 is so pivotal. There aren't going to be very many cards that we can identify at the moment before we start deck building with her physically that you're like, I want to play Frigga instead of my Iron Man. Hell, in the Thor deck, you playing Jane on turn 5 like 90% of the time. Like, your want, if you have Jane in hand, is always to be playing Jane on turn 5, unless for whatever reason you didn't get to play Thor or Beta Ray Bill, in which case you're probably losing anyway. Now, it's clunky, and I mentioned Destroy before. Destroy is already a deck that is tight. Discard is real tight, right? Destroy doesn't have a lot of room for things that aren't destroying things. Now, getting a copy of a Venom is very good. Hell, I'll take a copy of other destroy effects as well. But it doesn't have a lot of time to do it. Even when we got 6 turns in this game, 7 with Limbo. There's not a lot of time to do these things. Again, I'm sure we're gonna find, especially with cards like Anti-Venom just recently, Frigga will have more case usage with stuff like that. Now you're talking about said thing play for 0, copy, get another copy of it with Frigga. That's very good, right? It's not like you have to wait a turn for this. This is last card you played, get a copy. Could be good, could be bad. This is one of those cards that for most players is probably going to end up being a skip. Now, let's, in this yeah or nah, Frigga ends up falling into the nah category. Now, that's not to say she won't be a decent card in Marvel Snap at some point, or if within certain builds and archetypes. It's just hard to visualize at the moment. Now, that being said, if you're somebody who keeps up with having all the cards, then you're just gonna get the card anyway. But for most players who are tight on resources and don't have an endless amount of tokens and spotlight keys, this is a pass. This is nah. Okay, so, and if I have to start grading these things, which I will do, and it could be out of 5, out of 10, out of 100, on a tier standpoint, which I like better, because, you know, it's easier to put that, like Agent Venom is an S tier card. That's not even a question. You got S and A, B, C, D. Frigga falls into like the C tier, just on arrival. Now, whether or not that fluctuates based on playtesting remains to be seen. But on arrival, I'm putting Frigga, the brand new card into Marvel Snap this week with Surtur, into the C tier. Now, I mentioned Surtur, right? We're not doing Surtur this week. It's a season pass card. I don't need to do yeah or nah on a season pass card. It's always yeah, except for Symbiote Spider-Man. Symbiote Spider-Man was the first pass in a long time at a season pass card, right? Otherwise, Surtur is going to be strong, cracked. It's going to go in the deck that it goes into. Big cards are coming back. Shang-Chi's coming back. Just yes. Season pass card, just yes. So that is going to be my official recommendation for Frigga, C tier. And that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the lore, things you've learned about Frigga, right? Hopefully something, right? You know a little bit more now than you did 20 minutes ago, hopefully. And there's my official recommendation of where and what to do with the card, hypothetically speaking. Now, we'll flesh this out more as we go along, but this is the first run at this. This is Yeah or Nah with your boy Flash. And we will catch you next week for another one of these